Hey guys, welcome to today's video and welcome on into my beauty stash. As promised, today we are going to revisit some holiday palettes of the past that are pretty terrible. Now, there's a couple in today's ranking because I'm going to rank 10 of like the worst holiday palettes of the past, but there's a couple where the performance is good. It's just other factors that I took into consideration into making these decisions. So if you are into makeup ranking videos, in particular eyeshadow palettes, this is definitely the video for you. If you haven't checked out yesterday's video, it was the top 10 best holiday eyeshadow palettes of the past. Be sure to check that out if you want to see what's good. I know a lot of you loved playing along, and I want to hear from you guys in the comments. What were your 3 worst holiday palettes from the past? Now, I do want to preface this video that when I chose these palettes, I was looking at palettes that were released in November, December, and maybe at the beginning of January. And I will say it was rather difficult to come up with 10 because I've tried a lot of really awesome holiday makeup. So just keep that in the back of your mind as I'm going through this top 10 list. If it is your first time here on my channel, I just want to say hello and welcome to all of you. My name is Steff and I love trying out new makeup. I am primarily a new makeup review channel, but I do multiple looks with eyeshadow palettes, makeup ranking videos, all that good stuff. If that sounds like somewhere you want to be and something you want to see on pretty much a daily basis, because I do upload quite a bit, do me a favor and click on that subscribe button and hit the bell next to it. That way you'll be notified every time I do drop a new video. And if you are a fan of eyeshadow palette ranking, or you're just in the holiday spirit and you want to see some old palettes from the past, be sure to give this video a thumbs up before you go. I did film this look. I filmed it for YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reel, and it was using a palette that is not terrible, the Unearthly Cosmetics Sorcerer's Smoke palette. I do have a code with them. It is Steff, and that will give you 10% off of your order. But as usual, everything will be linked and listed in the description box. Some of those links might be affiliate links, so if you do end up shopping through them, I thank you so much for supporting me and my channel. Let's dive on into this top 10 worst holiday palettes of the past. If you guys want to see what made the list, keep on watching. Now guys, some of these palettes I no longer have. Either I decluttered them or I returned them shortly after reviewing them. So if I don't have them, I'm going to put the thumbnail to the video because I have videos on all of them. I'm going to put it up here in the corner. That way you guys can maybe go back or reference it and see for yourself. So coming in at number 10, I have this one right here. Unfortunately, is from one of my favorite brands from the drugstore, and that is Wet n Wild. This is their Cotton Candy Clouds palette from the Little Twin Stars collection. Now, those of you who have been watching me a while, you guys know that like pastel shades are not really my thing. This palette contains 4 pressed glitters. Those are not my thing at all. I don't mind if there's 1 or 2 pressed glitters, but you know, I'd rather just not deal with it altogether. But this palette, keep in mind, I've had this palette for about a year, at least a year, if not a little over a year now. This palette has a very strong scent to it. It's almost like a strawberry scent as soon as you open it up, and sometimes not even just being close to it, you can still get that aroma. And while I don't mind fragrance in certain products, I think when it comes to the eyes, I think fragrance needs to be left out of everything because a lot of us are allergic to certain fragrances that can make our eyes tear up. It can just cause an allergic reaction or whatnot. And so that is why I'm putting this palette in the number 10 spot. I like the color story. It is not my favorite color story. I did like the way the shadows performed, but this just isn't my vibe, and it's the scent that really throws me off on this one. I don't think you can find this anymore. It might be available on the Wet n Wild website, but it was one of those limited edition, you can see it right there, limited edition collections. Some other things in this collection are really good. They had some little cute like face palettes and stuff, but again, those were also heavily scented, which is why this is landing in the number 10 spot. Coming in at number 9 is a palette that it really pains me to put it on this list because I love this brand so much. I love the quality of this brand, and I love that they're not oversaturated. They just do releases like with the season, and that's it. And unfortunately, it comes to us from Lunar Beauty, and this is the 12 Days of Lunar palette. So basically what this was, it was an advent calendar. And so for each day, you'd uncover a single shadow and then you'd pop it in here in the palette. And so this was the order that I arranged the palette, but you can see that this is a very warm tone color story. Doesn't really match what's on the outside. I know a lot of you complained about that. You're like, you know, it's a cute color story. I just wish it was in different packaging. I thought it was a cute idea, like having that be an advent calendar where you would reveal a shade per day. But I was also hoping for some other products. So unfortunately, this Lunar Beauty palette just kind of fell short for me. Not with the quality. I think the quality is fantastic. I've been able to create some amazing looks, but because I feel like it's just a little awkward, a little different, but not different in a good way. That's why I'm putting this in the number 9 spot. Coming in at number 8 is a palette that some of you either you completely love it or you completely hated it. Unfortunately for me, I wouldn't say I completely hated it, but it definitely wasn't my favorite, and I've tried a lot better from the brand. And unfortunately, it is the Holidays palette from ColourPop and Muppets. This is their collaboration. Artwork is super cute. ColourPop always does a good job with their collections as far as packaging goes. This is what the color story looks like. I love it. I mean, look at those bright greens in there, but some of the shadows just fell short when it came to performance. I noticed some patchiness. It could have been maybe I got a bad batch, but whatever the case, I had really high expectations for this one, and so I was rather disappointed when I got it home and created some looks. I haven't really touched this much since initially filming with it. I probably only used it maybe a couple other times at best, but it's just, it was the formula for me. I felt like the formula was off. I don't remember if I bought this from Ulta or from the ColourPop website. I think I got it from Ulta, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, some of you said that the not so good batches of this palette went to Ulta, and then the really good batches of the palette were over at ColourPop. So maybe I just ordered from the wrong place, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one, if you still have it, if you still use it, and how you think it's been performing. Okay, so I need to scoot over for this next one because I do not have it in my stash. But coming in at number 7 is the Pat McGrath and Bridgerton collection. So this was released like at the end of, is it the end of 21 or 22? And then I didn't receive it until the beginning of January. The one thing that I kept, actually I kept 3 things. I kept the face palette, which I actually wore in yesterday's video. This is what the face palette looks like, 2 blushes and a highlighter. And then I kept the 2 individual highlighters, and I've already decluttered the eyeshadow palette. So as you can see from the photo, the eyeshadow palette is typical Pat McGrath. It is those pink shades. There was like a gold shimmer. I was looking for the shimmers that were in that palette to be the standout, the focal point of the palette, and it really fell short. And the price tag, I want to say this was $60, maybe a little bit more for, you know, the shadows that you're getting, the amount of shadows that you're getting. I didn't think it was worth the price tag. Aesthetically, it was beautiful, but when it came down to the quality in particular of the eyeshadow palette, that's where it really fell short. And yeah, I really wish I had my money back on that one. The other products in the collection, great, no issues there, but the eyeshadow palette was definitely not worth its price tag. So coming in at number 6, I'm gonna stay over here on this side of the frame, is the NYX Lunar New Year palette, and this was the Lunar New Year for 2022. So I love NYX. I think NYX makes some great shadows, amazing eyeliners. NYX does a lot of things right at an affordable price point. Sometimes they can get a little pricey, but usually they do run pretty good sales. I know for Black Friday, they had like a 50% off website. There was just a couple things that weren't on sale, which was more of their new stuff. But this Lunar New Year palette just really missed the mark. It was patchy, it kind of felt dry. I didn't get a lot of pigmentation for it. I feel like I paid $18 or $20 for this palette, which definitely was not worth it. I have since decluttered it since initially filming with it. I did give it a couple other chances after filming, but I never got excited about it. It was just very lackluster. I've definitely tried better from NYX, and this should have been a total pass for me and for a lot of you. So coming in at number 5 is a collection that I did return because it was terrible. And this was actually a holiday collection that was released in October of last year, so October of 2022, and it is the LA Girl Dazzle All the Way. I have tried a lot of amazing things from LA Girl. This collection, top to bottom, was not one of them. The eyeliners were terrible, but the eyeshadow palette, oh my god, like it was just so dull, so drab. The mattes were not pigmented. The shimmers were pretty awful. I probably should have got, the glitter toppers that they were selling, but I passed on those. That could have been the palette saving grace, but overall, this was just not a well thought out, not a good collection from LA Girl. Again, I've tried a lot of amazing LA Girl palettes. This formula in particular just felt way off, and that's why this palette is finding itself in the number 5 spot. Now I'm going to stay sitting on this side of the frame at least for the next 2, and these next 2 palettes ironically are from the same brand. So coming in at number 4, we have the Too Faced Pinker Times Ahead palette. So no, this was not good. And this was in their cardboard packaging. A lot of you have said what comes in the cardboard packaging is not their best quality. I can see that, but I have tried a couple things that are pretty decent in the cardboard packaging. So I wouldn't say all of the cardboard packaging palettes are terrible. However, this one, I mean, just was like pulling teeth to get the pigment to show up. I want to say this collection came with a highlighter, and if I'm remembering correctly, I love the highlighter. I think the highlighter was amazing. I still have it, I still use it, but I have decluttered this Pinker Times Ahead palette. It was just awful. I mean, awful. And I said this during my last Too Faced eyeshadow palette review, which was the Maple Syrup Pancakes. I think aside from the fall releases that Too Faced does, as far as palettes go, I think I'm going to refrain from purchasing from them in the future. I don't mind trying their complexion products. I think they have good blushes. I'm actually wearing a Too Faced bronzer today. I think there's a lot of good in their line, but man, this Pinker Times Ahead palette was just, yeah, dud. Coming in at number 3, also another dud from Too Faced, and this is their Too Femme palette. This was like a tie for like 3rd or 4th place, from the Too Femme to the Pinker Times Ahead. Yeah, this was terrible. The pigmentation, the shimmers The shimmers were just, no, they were not impactful at all. If you are used to your indie brand duochromes and multichromes, stay clear of this palette. The only thing that was great about this collection was the blush. I still have it, I still use it, I still love it. It is pigmented, it is a beautiful shade of pink without being too bright of a pink, a very wearable pink blush. But this Two Femme palette just, man, it really missed the mark. Again, it was in cardboard packaging. I think there's a trend there. There could be a trend. A lot of you could be correct on that, that what they put in the cardboard packaging is not their best. And I will say that Too Faced drops so many palettes for the holidays. I do not feed into that. I hope you don't feed into that either, because a lot of those palettes that they drop around holiday season are major duds. For me, Too Faced is just, you know, once they sold, I believe it was to Estee Lauder, they really lost their edge. They really lost that good formula. They lost the excitement behind the brand. And so that's why, you know, I just said it. I don't think I'm going to be trying a lot of Too Faced palettes moving forward into 2024. I mean, the color story has to really jump out at me. But, you know, if the palette, if I get it home and it doesn't perform, I am definitely going to return it because their palettes are pricey. They're $50 plus. And yeah, if you have this one, I hope you got it on sale. I hope it's been working for you. But for me, it was a major dud. So coming in at number 2 was a collection that was released last year. I think it was at the beginning of December. And this collection had a lot of hype behind it, but to me, it fell short in a big way. And I bought the full collection, like the box set. And I'm talking about the NYX Avatar collaboration. You know, again, like I mentioned, NYX does a lot of things right. They are an amazing drugstore brand. They are one of my favorite drugstore brands, but this entire collection, for the most part, was just it wasn't good. I gave it a very fair chance before I decided, you know what, I paid like $100 and some odd for this entire collection, and most of it was pretty not so great. So I did end up returning this. I remember I ordered it from the Ulta Beauty website. Very disappointed with this one. And you know what? I wasn't even a fan of Avatar. I'd never seen the movie. I'd never, you know, just known about it in general. So yeah, unfortunately, I think NYX missed the mark on this one in a huge way. And that's why it's coming in at number 2. And coming in the number 1 spot for the worst holiday palette that I've tried is the Morphe and Mickey Mouse or Mickey and Friends collaboration. I'm going to put the thumbnail here. I kept the mirror. How cute is this mirror? I usually leave the mirror on display on one of the shelves behind me, but I used it today to put this makeup look on. Oh my goodness, guys. This collection featured a mega size palette. It featured a small 9-pan palette. The lipsticks, oh God. The lipsticks were terrible. I did not like the formula. Some of the shades were just ugly. They weren't complimentary, at least to me. The pink shade made my teeth look yellow, but the eyeshadow palettes were pretty terrible. Like, it took forever to get some good pigment from the mattes. The shimmers were just there. The 9-pan palette, and I don't even remember at this point if the 9-pan performed better than the mega size, but both of them were a letdown. I think the entire collection, aesthetically, it was very cute. Like, it was very cute. The cover art, everything, the mirror, they did a great job with the packaging, but what they put inside the palettes was awful. Awful, awful. Let me know if you guys picked up this collection. Do you still have it? Did it work out better for you? Again, maybe I got a bad batch, but for me, this Morphe and Mickey Mouse or Mickey and Friends collaboration palette collection was Yuck. Okay guys, so that's it. That wraps up my 10 worst holiday eyeshadow palettes of the past. Unfortunately, some of my favorite brands landed in this worst top 10 list, but you know what? They've been able to redeem themselves with other releases that they had later on. And you know, I still love the majority of these brands. I would say maybe Morphe is a brand I've like totally just not bought anything from them aside from a few makeup brushes, a foundation, concealer here and there. But yeah, for me, Morphe has pretty much fallen off the map. I don't really review a lot of their stuff. The same goes, unfortunately, for Pat McGrath. I am not a huge fan, controversial, I know. I'm not a huge fan of her eyeshadow palette formula. It doesn't grab me. It doesn't reel me in. I love her complexion products, her blushes, the highlighters, the lipsticks, like all of that. I love the foundation, but when it comes to eyeshadow palettes, I guess I just haven't met a Pat McGrath eyeshadow palette that I'm just over the moon with. But let me know your thoughts now, guys. Did some of your worst make my top 10 list for the worst holiday palettes of the past? Hopefully, none of your best palettes made this worst list, but comment down below, what were your 3 worst holiday palettes that you can remember that you were just like, oh my god, I want my money back? Sound off in the comments down below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching another one of my videos. Y'all have a great day or night wherever it is y'all are at. Stay hydrated, drink that water, and I'm going to see you all very soon. Bye.